Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Don't Tell Me How to Fan. My name is Josh Albrecht, and with me, as always, is my good friend, John Taylor. John, how are we doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, Josh. What a great weekend for
my gosh,
sports and sports entertainment alike.
Yes, absolutely. We're going to be talking a lot about what happened in the Elimination Chamber, and so if you aren't ready for that, before you click off, I want to also thank everyone who showed up to my charity bowling event, Bowling with the Chumps, which was also on Saturday. We raised $12,000 for a girl named Kaylee. She's 16 years old. She's battling leukemia, and $12,000 of generosity from people, which was super duper great. We had a full house of people, 144 bowlers. There were even more people there that just showed up just to support. Couldn't have asked for a better day. It was awesome, and I really appreciated everyone that came out. So thank you to that. After the event, then came Elimination Chamber, which was wild. And before we get into it, I got to ask you, John, one question. How'd you know?
How did I know?
How'd you know?
Did I predict that? I thought maybe
if
that was going to happen.
If you go back, see, and this is even
I don't even remember.
I listen when you talk.
I appreciate
I
that.
watched this whole damn pay-per-view and went, fuck, that's exactly what John said was going to happen. God damn it. That's exactly what John said. This whole thing was what John called every single part of this. The entire thing.
Dude,
I really lead, but
yeah.
Literally the first thing that happened was the women's elimination chamber.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I don't know who's going to win. And you're like, I just think it'd be so great if, Bianca got her chance. Like, I really think that she, and then you were like, and there might be something like if Jade comes back and like this whole thing, and you played the whole thing out, and then Jade comes back, and then she attacks Naomi, just like you said. Like, I think there's, it was Naomi.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so John literally had the script. Like, he had the script to Elimination Chamber, at least for the first match. Okay. Fast forward to the end. Breaking news, spoilers if you haven't watched it yet. Stop
news.
this right now.
Yeah.
Go watch it and then come back. Then we have John Cena winning the Elimination Chamber, which apparently I'm on this podcast just to be wrong. I said is not going to happen. I said he's going to get close, just like in the Royal Rumble. He'll be like one of the last two, but then he'll lose. Something will happen. Nope, he won, just like John said he would. But and then the big shocker, the thing that shocked the world, right? Shocked the world. John Cena turns heel, which you also said. Wouldn't that be cool? I mean, it could happen. He could turn heel. I'm just sitting there, I'm like, the whole thing John knew ahead of time. I did not call. For the record, I did not call Randy Orton coming back. Was super happy about that. Okay, fine. Sorry.
I did miss one detail. That feels good. I did not get on here thinking I was going to take such a strong victory lap, but yeah, I mean, listen, I think I said it last episode. I'm really excited about the Triple H era because they really allow the stories to play out in satisfying ways that feel justified and earned in a way that I don't know if the Vince McMahon era ever would, right? Like, John Cena never turned heel because Vince McMahon wouldn't let it happen, right? There was plenty of opportunities and he refused.
Do we know that John Cena wanted to turn heel and was
I think there was like reports of like there was like a WrestleMania planned in like the mid 15s where he was going to turn, and it was just like Vince put the kibosh on it. So and there's plenty of stories up and down in history where Vince just says, I don't care what story it has been told, this isn't happening. You know what I mean? Everything was Vince's last call, and it was one of those things where you wouldn't know about it until the very last minute. So they've been just building to a lot of really interesting stuff, and I think they've done like a really great job of leaving things open and teasing and all of these things. But like ultimately the meta version of this is just like, I think finally the writing is honoring the stories and the actual foundational work that they put in between premium live events. So, I mean, I didn't need to be right, but I was very satisfied with all of this. And I think that's like, I was just pitching what I think would have been the most narratively satisfying. So I'm like, really.
And apparently Triple H agreed with you.
Yeah.
It was top to bottom a great pay-per-view.
Yeah.
which I cannot call it a premium live event. My brain won't let me.
I love it. I think it is a pay-per-view. I think it's funny to call it a PLE because
Yeah, I can't do
it's
it.
just stupid. But it is. I mean, how about the fact that they let a fully uncensored F-bomb straight into the mic fly?
Yeah.
That was
So we're of course referring to, so there was this whole storyline which I was kind of with you on, like, it's kind of, I don't really understand what they're doing with The Rock and Cody, like the verbiage was a little weird with the give me your soul type thing.
yeah.
But it was an angle. They were like, okay, we're working this angle. And then Cody was supposed to give his answer to The Rock that night. And his answer was, hey, Rock, fuck you. I mean, a hard F to The Rock.
Yeah.
And it was not censored out anywhere, by the way.
No.
Not censored out on the pay-per-view, not censored out on social media.
Mm-hmm.
The clip is posted on WWE verified accounts with that hard F.
Yeah.
Like, that's a message. That's a message from this new regime.
Totally. I think they've shown time and time again that this is what I was talking about, the storytelling, like a reaction like that is earned. And I think I was talking about it with a buddy of mine. He was like, is this whole Rock angle working for you? And I was like, not really. I find like the soul language kind of corny. And I still do. I mean, the fact that he didn't take the offer makes it make more sense. Like, it was meant to be like a really unlikable offer anyways. What I really didn't like, and I thought was like pretty cheap before we found out he said no, was all the conversation about his dad and how his dad's looking up on him. And The Rock invoking Dusty Rhodes as much as he did, I didn't like. I mean, if he would have taken the deal and that was part of the whole shtick, it just would have felt pretty flat to me, And so
Right.
Ultimately, I'm like, this all makes sense. Now, I think him saying no way makes sense. I actually wish Cody would have called him out on some of that. Like, if you think my dad would watch me like beep, and maybe that's still a promo that's going to get cut maybe tomorrow or on SmackDown, because there's obviously a huge fallout coming. There has to be some sort of,
oh yeah.
But I think I just think like he invoked enough of the gross parts about the offer that it was like, oh, there's no way Cody would take it, or Cody definitely takes it. You know what I mean? And I just think like the offer went sour too fast, because I think a Cody heel turn would be super narratively satisfying too. I think that could have worked just as much.
But it doesn't have the shock value.
No, absolutely not.
That's what the John Cena thing did. Like I mean, I was going to get into this later, but let's just do it now. The huge topic that came up from this was this the biggest heel turn in the history of professional sports? Everyone comparing it to when Hogan turned and formed NWO, which, by the way, this isn't even close to that. Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. Like, that literally changed everything everywhere. It changed WCW, it changed WWE, it changed all of it. The forming of the NWO was what, if you're comparing it to it, it's because it was better. It's not up for debate. I'm sorry. It's really not. But the fact that they are comparing it just showed the fact that so many people did not think that could happen. Yeah. That they were never really going to let John Cena do that. Do you think in any way, shape, or form that this heel run really doesn't last that long? Like, do you think he like ends his career as, like, I just don't see it happening that he's going to be the bad guy for
I mean, there's like still 10 months, right? So yeah, I don't know. It's really interesting. I think he could do a full heel run this 10 months, and then he gets beat. Somebody wins the belt back from corporate Cena, and then maybe he's allowed to like turn face in that moment and then ride off into the sunset. I don't think this heel turn.
Folks, this was a test. That's exactly what's going to happen. Now we know. Now that John said it, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Ooh, do you want me to do it? We can put this on wax, digital wax. I think Cena wins the belt at Mania. And I don't know. It's too early to call it. I'm really flying blind here if I say it. No, fuck it. I'm going to say it. I think CM Punk wins it back. In the ultimate, like, CM Punk finally gets the belt back, and then that relationship and respect kind of turns him over. But I don't know when 10 months is up. When did he announce his return? I don't even know what that final pay-per-view would look like.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one it would be either.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And, I just want to counter, not really counter, but underline your point too. I think the other reason why like the NWO heel turn was so big was because like Hogan wrestled for a while after that. It wasn't like this like swan song. Like the shock value is that there's a time limit on Cena's wrestling. He's like, in a year, I'm done. And he's saying like, hey fans, I don't really care. I'm choosing me and mine's over you. So there is like a lot of weight in that decision, but the implications are not nearly as massive as you said. It just feels bad because the guy who always stood with the crowd chose himself in a very selfish way, you know? So I think it's awesome. I think it's like really fun. Wrestling, if you haven't watched wrestling and you were getting on the fence about this, road to WrestleMania is going to be so fun.
Yeah, they're really building it up.
Yeah.
So the other thing was people are now, I've seen, you know, people are taking freeze frames of things The Rock did. Like when he came out at, I don't know if it was the Rumble. It might have been the Rumble. He came out and he put up the 3 and no one knew what the hell that meant.
Yeah.
And now people are like, oh, was he doing the Cena
Oh,
thing?
yeah. Yeah.
But then when he did like the slit throat to Cena, he'd had a 2. His hand did like this weird 2 thing.
Yeah.
And now people are like, is this a sign like that he's forming a faction? Are there more? Is he forming his own NWO where now it's him and Cena and he's going to get, you know, and then is it going to end with Reigns, who always does the 1?
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh boy, this could really be something.
I mean, that's the big missing item is Roman Reigns exists. And he just hasn't been a part of anything since he beat Solo Sikoa on January 6th. Like, he just hasn't been around. And you're not going to run a WrestleMania without him. Like, no shade to any of the guys that were in the Elimination Chamber. Like, Roman is on the same level as Punk. And that's about the only guys you have to see in you know what I mean? Like, he's on that level. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, this does really set up for the Paul Heyman favor to mean a lot more. I was talking to somebody and they were
good point.
They were kind of like, is the favor just what? That he's going to like walk out with him when he wins WrestleMania? And I was like, is that favor worthy? Hey, Paul, I'd like you to be in my corner. It's like, it sure doesn't seem like it. So I don't know. There's some whispers where it's like, are they going to, it's the favor going to be to like try to leverage like a 3-person? I don't know. You know, and then if Roman gets involved, what does that favor look like? How does it, I don't know. I don't know. I think CM Punk, I don't know. He's got a headline at WrestleMania. He's the most over guy. And I don't know if you watched SmackDown on Friday. Sorry, I'm kind of going all over my thoughts on the Elimination Chamber. There's too many guys. The Cena thing's wild, but the Punk thing is just as interesting as me. It's like that's a call in, and having a favor with Heyman might as well be just as good as having Money in the Bank. You know what I mean? Like that's like the cachet that Heyman has. So it's like when he calls it in, it's gonna cause a problem, or it's going to grease some wheels, or something's it's gonna make a cataclysmic decision that's going to fundamentally change how something happens. You know what I mean? Like over the next several months, either it's WrestleMania or afterwards, right?
So I want to talk about Punk in the Elimination Chamber, but I want to finish the Cena thought.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think when I'm looking at everything that exists right now in the WWE, a really good faction, not like just a group of guys like the LWO or whatever else is going on, but like the dominating force faction. It has been a long time since one of those has been out there. Yeah. I'm trying to think back of like Evolution. I don't know.
I mean, you could make an honest claim for Judgment Day, and it's not even necessarily from like the gold, but what I mean is like when you're watching Raw for 2+ years and there's over like 6 segments revolving around the Judgment Day, like
sure,
it matters. Like it has some weight to it. But I do hear your point in terms of less like dominance. Yeah, I don't know. It's been a really long time. They've really liked the idea of using factions to prop up an individual member way more than this idea that like everybody involved is a problem at any given moment. So I do appreciate your point. Like, because you could even say the bloodline, but it's 100%.
Well, the bloodline's a great point, but
the
Bloodline faction just became
it's Roman and
many
everybody
people.
else. It was Roman and everybody else. That's my point. Like, it's not really like, it's not all encompassing. Like the Jimmy and Jay stuff was interesting, but Jimmy's bigger now than he ever was in Bloodline. And I don't think Jay is. I don't think Jimmy's that far off. Big Jim, so it's just kind of interesting. So yeah, I don't know. It's a fair point. I do not know if it's Rock, Cena. Yeah.
Right. If they take, two more guys. Mm-hmm. If two more guys join this faction of whatever this is, who do you think they are?
Well, just running with the heel angle, maybe Kevin Owens seeks a little shelter from, because it doesn't involve anybody in the bloodline yet, so there's no real like conflict. That's like what Kevin Owens that like sent him down the spiral, right? All of his friends teaming back up.
Sure.
So maybe Owens would make sense.
And his angle, his storyline, they always go back to the well with him and Sammy, which was an amazing match, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely incredible.
But he doesn't really have a storyline that he, it just kind of ended.
Yeah. Well, the Randy picks up where the Sammy part ends, right? So
sure, but do you think that's set for Mania?
Yeah, kind of. I don't think you bring Randy Orton back unless he's going to wrestle Kevin Owens at Mania. Period. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like that's. I actually, yeah. I'll make a note. I want to ask you this question when we talk about the women's elim. So never mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would love KO. I love Kevin Owens. So I'd love to see it. Also, in this faction, Kevin Owens is like a minor piece, which is saying something. So that's the other cool thing. I just think there needs to be another turn. There has to be someone else that isn't already bad.
Yeah.
That if they really want to make this something, there needs to be another shock value piece.
So what do you think?
I don't know. I'd love to see like Punk or like someone else huge that is just like, if CM Punk became part of this, it would be.
Yeah. I don't think there's any world where CM Punk.
I agree. But
he would have needed to be the one to take the offer for that to make sense, because it's on the same level as like Cena taking it. Cena turning heel. Punk's been a heel, but Punk has also been so anti-establishment that for him to take that deal, it's like it just doesn't. I don't see how it doesn't pay off in any sort of meaningful way. Now that he's not the one that took the offer. Like Drew's like an obvious choice. Like, I'm fucking tired. Apparently The Rock claims that he's the one that like brought Drew back. You know what I mean? Like, there's like a lot of like that kind of angle, and
that's the thing. It's like that pick. That's a fizzing out.
Yeah,
like if you say, "Oh my gosh, Drew McIntyre's part of this too," I'm going, "Yeah, okay,
yeah." And we're assuming they're building a faction, which might not happen. I guess the Seth would be an interesting one. I think Seth would make sense.
Interesting.
Seth needs something. There's just nothing going on for Seth right now. I don't know where he's supposed to go now. Because I think they're setting up like Priest and McIntyre. I almost said McIntosh. Whoops. I think Priest and McIntyre at Mania makes a lot of sense. They're both just big guys who like to beat the crap out of each other. I think that's awesome. I do not know what Seth's role is in the company. It's been very obvious for the last like 8 months. I just don't know. I don't know where he fits in any of this. So that would be interesting as a means to like insert himself into some sort of story, but yeah, I don't know.
If they just leave it to where Cena is the Rock's champion and then that's it, I almost don't feel like that's enough. There needs to be a little bit more to this than just, even when it was corporate Rock, there was a group of people with McMahon, and it wasn't just the two of them. Yeah. So there needs to be a little bit more. Okay.
Also, Cena's going to be gone, right? He's still shooting. I don't know if he's going to have. I don't think he's going to be a mainstay on Raw weekly. So it's like you're right. There needs to. I don't know. It's a WWE. They can cut promos kind of wherever. They could definitely string along enough like exposition and vignettes to like get us to WrestleMania. But I sure hope not. It would be fun to have some other people involved, so that way we're seeing this manifestation, or like this will officially be the most involved The Rock will be as like member of the board Rock, right? We had the final boss, which kind of includes this, but the final boss was a wrestler. This is the first time where it's like, what like unfair advantages is Cena going to get now that, you know what I mean? So it's interesting for sure. But
Yeah.
yeah, we can move on. Time will tell. Time
Okay.
will tell.
I want to
Yeah.
talk about the CM Punk angle and other things with Elimination Chamber, because that was the only thing I didn't like about the entire pay-per-view. And this is being super nitpicky because it was such a good pay-per-view. But you just saw at the Royal Rumble McIntyre and Rollins and CM Punk all beating the crap out of each other, all hating each other. The way that all ended in the Rumble, it was okay. This is sick. These three guys beating the crap out of each other. This is good. They had the opportunity to have it start with those three guys. And then CM Punk didn't come out until like way later.
He was last.
Yeah. So I hated that. Just to get things started, it could have been, oh my God, it's like the Royal Rumble all over, these three guys just wailing on each other right out the gate. And I was mad we didn't get it.
Yeah, I think the meta angle is like they spent a lot more time in between Royal Rumble and Elimination Chamber talking about the relationship of like Punk and Logan. And so I was kind of like, they're you know what I mean? It's like you can just kind of like play the numbers. I was just like, I bet you it's going to be Logan third, because then he can kind of like do his spots all around them. No harm, no foul. And then Seth came out. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, there was this like, there was never really this big crescendo. Because how did McIntyre get eliminated again? I'm trying to.
I thought it was with Punk, but I don't like Punk.
No, he got eliminated long before Punk even got into the match. He was out before seeing. He got eliminated kind of early. Well, he was the first one out. He didn't get eliminated early, I would say. He was just the first one. I think there's like Logan and Priest shenanigans.
You're talking about in Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were saying back to the Rumble.
No.
Yeah, no, I don't.
I'm trying to remember the spot.
I don't remember how he did.
Yeah.
But yeah, it kind of left it deflating because we knew that Damian Priest being in there was kind of just a filler. He didn't have a storyline necessarily going with anyone. It was just, hey, he's a big guy. Look out. He could do anything.
Yeah.
That was like the max of Damian Priest being in there. So, but anyway, like the match was great. Right. And I was satisfied with everything, but I would have loved to have had that. I really liked the juice that was squeezed from their all hating each other at the Rumble.
Yeah.
I would love to have seen that.
Well, I mean, it kind of just feels like the Drew McIntyre angle of it is closed. Like, I think they'll never like each other, and like they're both good enough on the mic that they'll always like take shots at each other. They'll chirp at each other forever. But Seth actively getting eliminated and then coming in and screwing over CM Punk, that's like another storyline. I just think like you have this favor. Could we see like Seth CM Punk like 2 in this like year? For like potentially, I think that's like a waste of CM Punk's juice right now, because I don't know if you feel this way. I've always loved CM Punk, on some like I thought he was great when he broke on the scene. I'm also straight edge, so I'll always have like a little love for him that way. But when you were watching in like 2012, right, like there was all these angles where he was like anti-hero. They wanted him to be heel. Everyone loved him so much. The only way they could turn him heel was he just stopped showing up to events, right? They just like stopped booking him. It was the only way they could make the fans mad. Is that they just wanted to see him. And I just think like this new turn, there's like, I liken it a lot to Orton, where it's like they're established and they've stopped taking themselves so seriously to the point where they can like kind of like let the fun in, and you see like a little more person. It just seems really likable all the time when I'm like, I don't know if they care about Punk. Or I go, do I just really love Punk because of the old stuff? You like see him come out, and the SmackDown episode was a perfect encapsulation. They had everybody out there except for John Cena, right? And they were all chirping at each other. And Punk's reaction is so much louder than everybody else in that ring and in that chamber. And it was the same at last night at the PLE. Like they are, the universe loves CM Punk in the same way that they love John Cena, in the same way that they love, like, this dude is on a whole nother level. And I just think at some point he came back, they got to pay that off because he's doing everything right. He embarrasses everybody on the mic. It's crazy how few people can hold a candle to him in cutting promos. I think Cody does a nice job of hanging in there. I think they're like Seth, I think is good, but it's just like in terms of like delivery and cutting lines and blurring kayfabe and not, I just think like there's nobody better than
Okay.
CM Punk.
Okay.
So
Time out. Who's your favorite person on the mic ever?
It is a tie. It's a tie between CM Punk and The Rock for me, but it would be like older Rock. The new Rock stuff, it's just like he's not around enough, so he's like pushing a ton of exposition, and it feels like really kind of. I'm gonna go CM Punk. I've never disliked a single thing he said on the mic.
You have a guess of who mine is? You want to guess?
Yeah, I think it's R-Truth.
No, but it should be because R-Truth is the best. Did you see his comment?
No, I did.
Okay. So really quick, and then I'll answer. But Brandy Rhodes said like John Cena sucks or something on Twitter, and R-Truth commented and said something like it's don't believe the speculation or like try because John Cena's his hero, and so he's commenting on other superstars and even their wives' posts being like. Calm down. Don't talk about John like that yet. We don't know for sure what's happening. It was brilliant. God, he's so funny. My favorite person on the mic is Jericho.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
The fact that he's so damn good and has been for so long on a mic. I mean, he's reinvented himself like 7 times, and it's been great every single time. Yeah,
that's a great pick. I would. That makes perfect sense. I would not fight you on that at all.
Yeah,
I was never just like a huge Jericho guy, but I mean, I everything I see, all the like clips, I'm always like, oh yeah, man, he really could hang in like every situation.
Yeah, and it was more than just himself too. He was so good at setting up the other guy, which is part of the art form,
Totally.
And so I respected the hell out of him for that.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the pay-per-view. Okay, so the match between Sammy and Kevin Owens. First of all, I get why they keep going back to the well because these guys, I don't know why when they face each other, it's so much better than when they fight anyone else. I'm not saying they're bad when they fight other people, but it just doesn't, it never, like, I'm not even talking about the storyline. I'm talking about the physical match.
Yeah.
Like, they just work so well together. And it happened again at Elimination.
Well, they've been working together for what, like 20 years? Like that's like part of the story. It's like one of the few times where like the WWE is like willing to acknowledge the fact that there's like other leagues, indies, promotions. Like Kevin and Sammy really do know each other inside out. And it's like they go to this well often. I think of it like they're like each other's like, I think like Rock and Stone Cold. Like it's like a modern day where it's like these dudes will war with each other forever in the terms of like great matches. And I mean, I don't know. I think until Sami Zayn like puts Kevin down, this is always going to be something that they're going to be able to come back to, right? Because it's like another classic. Like the good guy did not win again.
Right.
So
keep going. Yeah.
So keep going. Right. Yeah.
The thing that I hated about the match, once again, nitpicky, I just hate that they can't hit someone in the head with a chair.
Oh, right.
It's
unprotected.
Like seeing, because you can trip someone and have them fall, face first into a chair covered in barbed wire. That's fine. But you can't hit a person with just a chair.
Yeah.
Like, okay. All right.
I mean, it's like you technically labeled it an unsanctioned match. So it's like, can we, and I mean, I get it.
You can throw a chair at their face, but you cannot physically. And this idea of just it's always the back. It's just over the back. It's just like, come on, man, waffle the guy in the head, please.
Yeah, they went away with unprotected chair shots after a string of pretty gnarly shots. So I mean, I do understand it. We also didn't see a pile driver. I thought for sure we'd see a package pile driver in this match, and we never did. I think clearly that's what like Kevin was kind of hinting at when he like pulled up the foam. I think, but they didn't do it. Is my point. And it's like in my head, I was like, oh, they're going unsanctioned because they're gonna like play the greatest hits that they did in like the indies that they can't do anymore. And we kind of didn't see that. I think it was fun. I think like it was really intense in very specific ways that like the WWE tends to shy away from. So like I appreciate the trust that they have in these two individuals and their ability to like take care of each other. I guess I just thought with all of the history and like the honest to goodness, like great in-ring work they've done together, I thought they would, I don't know, do more violence. I just thought it'd be more violent. The barbed wire.
You saw. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say the barbed wire chair. It's like gimmicky, but I think it's cool. I mean, like that's like I said, it's just not stuff the WWE tends to do anymore. So it's just like cool.
You used to see that creativity, like that was Mick Foley-esque. It was the barbed wire baseball bat was it wasn't a thing, and then it became a thing, and then it was, oh man, what is this? It could have been the same thing with the chair, but it's all how you use it. Just having something exist doesn't count. It has to be how it's utilized.
You're also talking about stuff, and I know this is a PLE, your favorite.
Yeah.
You're talking about stuff pre-PG era, where they made a concerted effort to try to get that PG rating for national television. So it's like, there is like, they stopped doing all that stuff. Once blood got really kind of like, they were not actively trying to make each other bleed every single episode, So it's like, we are in a post Mick Foley hardcore match world. They don't even call them hardcore matches anymore, because they're trying to shy away from that. Like, hey, we're perfectly comfortable being violent, like in the indies, they call them death matches. Like the WWE is not putting that on. So I think like the fact that they're, like I said, I guess I'm just giving credit to creative, because like it could have been an unsanctioned match and like all they did was just put each other through chairs and tables, which they did a good amount of that. I just mean the fact that they were even willing to elevate it a little bit, who knows how much of a gimmick that chair was.
It felt like it teased a lot of stuff, even the Randy Orton, where you thought you were going to see the move he hasn't done since, what do they say, the Legend Killer days. And then they stopped that, and it's like, oh, come on.
I will say, dude, that shot of everybody holding him through, like back from being inside the ropes was like pure cinema. It was such an incredible shot. He looks good. I was saying when he came out, like he looks like he lost like exactly 5 pounds. Like before he went away injured, he was looking big and like a little, like bloated is not the right word because that dude is like in incredible shape, but he just seemed like a little bit more, he seemed leaner, but just specifically enough not to lose any of the mass. It just seemed real tight. It was just like it was like a really, he looked incredible. He looked great. I mean, I always forget too, he is like 6'6". The dude is massive. And obviously he's even more massive now that he's like way bigger. But I think they saved that spot for Mania. I wouldn't be surprised if Kevin finds himself in like maybe like a weird Hell in a Cell situation with I mean, I don't even know if they have ever done a Hell in a Cell at Mania. They definitely have, but what I mean? Just something like that. Extreme Rules where they can kind of like, I think they probably are saving the package pile driver for Randy Orton. They're probably saving Legend Killer stuff because they kind of also, for a long time, Seth wasn't doing the curb stomp either, and that's like just right. That's right back. I mean, if we were talking about like a wrestling video game, that's his signature, and Pedigree is the finisher, right? He's definitely looking for it a lot more. Also, CM Punk took an incredible curb stomp in the Elimination Chamber. I know we're kind of going backwards, but like that bump look, that was crazy. That it was really well done. But yeah, to Kevin,
WrestleMania 15, 28, 32, and 39.
Okay, so there has been precedent for it. So we could definitely see a thing like that. And I think that's kind of like where we're headed with. Like Kevin Owens is like off the rails in a way that it's like, something monumental is going to have to like happen to like get him snapped back into reality, And so we'll see. That's cool. What did you think of probably the most vanilla, and I still think it was incredible, the Tiffany Trish Stratus Nia Jax Candice LeRae match? What'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, that one looked like, especially having it be in Toronto, like everyone, there was no way that Trish was losing that match. And it still got a huge pop.
Yeah.
The only thing, like watching the build up to it, I felt like it seemed like, Nia Jax is supposed to be this powerhouse, and there just wasn't enough. They didn't create enough doubt in my mind that maybe Trish and Tiff could lose.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough doing these like intermediate matches when WrestleMania is already booked. You know what I mean? Title's not on the line. Like, what does Tiffany Stratton losing to Nia Jax really do to help the Charlotte
Right.
Flair? You know, it just is one of these things where it's like, so what? Now Nia gets like a weird chance to be like, I beat the champ, I should get another shot. It just gets muddy, and it's like, it's so clear, like old guard versus new guard. Let's see who has it. I think the match really, I think Tiffany looked great in that match. I think she really, I think she's performing better than she ever has. I think like 6 months ago, you know, she made her like real deal debut at Elimination Chamber like last year. She's been on a monumental rise, but it's like she's definitely become a way better performer. I think she's better on the mic. I just think these big opportunities, she just needs to keep having them, because I think she's a star and I think they want to push her. I think it's awesome. I can't call the WrestleMania match yet. I don't have to, because it's still so long, so far away. But I'm really excited for Tiffany's title run. I think she's like, for her first ever title run, I think she's handling it like masterfully. So that's kind of all I got. I think she's great. I'm excited to watch her wrestle. She hasn't done enough to make me be like, ew. So I just like, cool, let's keep seeing it. She should, you know, between her and Rhea, she's going to be the one working more clearly. You know what I mean? Like, because like Rhea is like, she's like the prize, like the prize fighter, like the top dog. You know, she doesn't wrestle every week for a reason. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. But
you know, I also, and I looked this up to confirm, but you know, having Elimination Chamber be the last pay-per-view prior to WrestleMania, that isn't like an NXT thing if they do, you know, something there, but is good. Like, that makes it even better, because you remember like when they had Fastlane? Remember Fastlane? Yeah. It was always this pay-per-view Fastlane that was right in between. It was like the last pay-per-view before WrestleMania. Yeah. And they used it as like, you're in the Fastlane to WrestleMania. The road to WrestleMania, now you're in the Fastlane. But it was pointless because nothing ever happened. All the storylines were already ready to go. You were like, what the hell's the point? They did a really, really good job, you know, changing that to have it to where Elimination Chamber still has it has momentum. It has its own meaning going into Mania.
Yeah.
Is beautiful.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. You know what's funny is I was talking about that with some friends I was watching it with. I was like, I said it at the start. I was like, I don't understand why the Royal Rumble isn't like the last pay-per-view, because it's like literally your last chance to get into WrestleMania. And then I was watching Elimination Chamber. I was watching all of these beautiful stories play out. And I was like, oh, because you can't have the last pay-per-view before WrestleMania be its own special standalone event where you get to add zero exposition. Like Royal Rumble traditionally has always been like, here's the events, these are the rumbles, you are going to get other matches, but like it's always like its own like viewing. It's definitely a part of the MCU, but it is one of the fringe ones where it's kind of like we can kind of play with whatever we want. Like ultimately,
what the Royal Rumble is?
Yeah, I just mean in the sense of
I
like,
disagree.
Well, I only mean it because they're not layering tons. Like, think about all of like the non-match storylines that they piled onto Elimination Chamber. Like, that would have been so hard to do if the Royal Rumble and Elimination Chamber were reversed. I'm just saying today is like when I realized
the Royal Rumble can't be the last one, because you have to build. It's the first chapter of the book.
Sure.
WrestleMania is the last chapter, but Royal Rumble is the first. It's why you don't know who's going to win, and once you do, now it's okay. What's the storyline here? What are they doing with Jey Uso? Okay, what is this going to mean? If it just went Jey Uso and then 30 days later he's at WrestleMania, there's not enough sizzle. You're not building up enough storylines or they're not giving themselves enough time to change things, make different stipulations, build the story that they have to do in the middle. It's just usually that middle part of the book between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, it isn't that good. Yeah. And this year is really good.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember waking up yesterday just being like, man, I genuinely cannot wait. You know, everything about the card was incredible. Yeah, we're like 40 minutes in. We should probably talk about the women's elimination.
Yeah. Get to that one. Yeah.
It was great. I think
you had a question, right? You said you wanted to bring something up.
Yes, I do have a question. I have a note, and here's my question. Did you at all think they were going to replace Naomi with anyone Well, so what ended up happening right before the match even gets started, Jade Cargill music hits. She looks incredible. But you want to talk about people taking advantage of being off. Tighter and looking stronger than ever. She's in all black. She looks incredible. She comes down, storms the Elimination Chamber. Looks like she's about to cock and unload on Liv Morgan, who there was footage of Liv Morgan and Raquel near the incident, and Naomi and Bianca have been operating under the assumption that Liv and Raquel were responsible, right? So she comes out, she takes like a big haymaker, like she's about to, and she takes a hard pivot, boom, smashes Naomi, and then proceeds to beat her senseless to the point where she is ruled medically unclear to wrestle. My question for you is, once that happened, did you think they were going to replace her, or did you think they were just going to go forward with 5?
Yeah, no, I 100% thought they were just going to go forward with 5.
See, I thought they were. This is something I'm glad I didn't put on the podcast because I would have been wrong. I for sure thought this was going to be their angle to get Becky Lynch in, because I think she's ready to be back. I don't understand. Like the reports are that she like re-signed. She was like doing her acting. She's back. Like
that would have been a terrible idea. Because then that pop immediately steals all the thunder you just got for Jade.
Yeah.
Coming back. You can't double up. That was Jade's moment. The only way that I think it would have been fair for them to do it is if after she beats the living hell out of Naomi, she tosses Naomi out of the chamber and then closes the door and locks herself inside.
Yeah.
And then she starts battling Liv and she replaces Naomi. But when they decided not to do that, and it was just she came to eliminate Naomi and that's what she did, then that was fine. I thought I went into the weekend.
I went into the weekend. I went into the weekend thinking that they were going to figure out a way to get Becky into the Elimination Chamber straight up. So it's interesting that it didn't happen. I just like at some point Becky's coming back, I guess is my point. And I just wonder when that's going to happen or what that's
could be a WrestleMania return.
Yeah, totally. So, and that's totally fine. I was like, we saw Bianca losing her mind in the cage. Like Liv's just standing there being like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what's going on. I was just like, I guess I just am saying like, I wouldn't have been surprised if we would have heard the man's music. I'm glad they didn't also, because I think there was interesting stories up and down that women's card in a way that the men's were clearly scrambling to find. Like Bayley versus Roxanne, they've been like putting a lot of heat on that. I think that was awesome. The Naomi and Bianca, I knew Naomi was going to turn. I thought maybe Jade was going to tell Bianca mid-match, or she was going to find out, and then Bianca was going to have to make the choice to like either side with Bianca or Jade and beat up Naomi, or side with Naomi and go full like turn heel. Like, yeah, I knew that happened. I don't care. Like Jade, you're not good. So it's like, I thought that would have been interesting, but all of that was interesting. Swirling around Liv, just winning the tag belt. My only thing about that is like them losing the belts to Liv and Raquel, all but guaranteed Liv was not going to win the Elimination Chamber. Right. Like, it's just like, it's too much to one person. She just did her full year holding down the fort. Like, it just seemed like really
in that match for this moment.
Yeah, specifically for the Jade return. Right. And so it's just like, you kind of immediately go, well, she's not going to win it. And so like, that's fine. Cause I said the same thing about Damian Priest, was ultimately absolutely right. I think once you got past Liv, I really was like, oh, I think anybody in this women's Elimination Chamber could win. And I was getting more and more nervous when Bayley wasn't getting eliminated. I was super happy she did when she did, because I was like, dude, that's like the only one where I'm like, God, it would have felt like such like an old head thing to do, to just be like, well, Bayley earned it. She's like been putting people over. She's been like super active all year long. And it's just like, yeah, but she's got no heat. It's like you're building up all these like insane stories. Your girl, Alexa Bliss, looked incredible. You want to talk about somebody who looked like they came back in and did not miss a step. They really wanted to highlight her as a legitimate threat in singles competition. It was awesome. She looked great.
I thought for half a second, I was like, this is going to be it. They're bringing her back. They gave, she didn't get her moment at Royal Rumble because they gave it to Charlotte, but they're going to give Alexa Bliss her moment because she also still got a huge pop. I mean, the fans fucking love Alexa, and they should. She's always been so fucking good.
Yeah.
And been a great character on top of it. And I was like, okay, they're going to do it. And then they went, because you called it, then they went with Bianca, which the only reason why I wasn't really upset about it, and I'm being honest, is because you called it. Like, if you wouldn't have, I hate the move. I hate it. I understand you're like, whatever, she looks great. She's athletic, blah, 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 blah. But this storyline with Jade, I don't want it to be over. And I feel like her winning Elimination Chamber immediately moves her out of this argument and then makes this feud, this whole story with Jade and Naomi, a 1v1 thing. And I wanted it to be like, and it would have been so easy for them to go that route too of, she's so distraught. Oh my God, what's happening? She gets eliminated because of this. They got to figure this out. What's going on? Naomi, you did this, blah, blah, blah. Jade being like, fuck you, bitch. You knew, like there was so many angles. And then she won. And it's like, oh, well, we don't care about you being a part of that now. Now you won Elimination Chamber. You're going to WrestleMania. And so that was frustrating to me. I'm fine with her winning over Bayley, but besides that, I wish it wouldn't have been her because I want to see her continue the storyline that was awesome with Jade.
Well, there is definitely, they can definitely resolve it in like the 5 weeks leading up to WrestleMania, right? Like, I think at some point, like,
yeah, but do you care as much? Do you care as much?
I do.
Now that Bianca has, that's old news for Bianca. That's old news. Now you're trying to win the championship.
I don't think it's old news. I think Bianca is one of the few wrestlers. I think she's just as good. You want to talk about like being good on the mic, emotive. I hit an interesting button. Sorry about that. Emotive, expressive, all of those things. I think she checks all those boxes. I think there's going to be at least a month's worth of interesting burn on this story because right now, what is there else to say? First of all, we don't know who Bianca is facing until tomorrow. I assume it's Rhea. Yeah, Io, that's kind of interesting. That seems weird to me too, that there's just like a random match. I think it's probably because they're trying to keep heat on Netflix. And so they're trying to put matches that matter.
Sure.
I think like ultimately either Bianca sides with Jade and then they do their thing against Naomi. It's culminating to Jade is going to wrestle Naomi, clearly. And that makes more sense because Jade's not on the level. Like when we were, I had been talking for a long time, like I can't wait for them to turn on each other. Like Jade is just not anywhere close to being ready in terms of wrestling to really carry a program like that. And I feel like against a lesser opponent, and I mean, your mileage may vary on Naomi. I know she has a lot of history. I think she's great, but she's not the worker that Bianca is. And I just think at some point you're robbing the singles division of probably one of the few talents that can go toe to toe with Rhea right now. I'm just balancing the ledger and all of that. And I just don't care. I don't need to see Bianca wrestling Jade. Like I don't.
I think that's so weak. I'm sorry. I think it's so weak. You can't sit here and say, look, Bayley putting people over and doing that, but then say on the flip side, like, yeah, but Bianca's just like in such good shape. To me, it's all the same. That's all the same. You have this brilliant storyline. Don't take a piece out of that storyline. Whether you like it or not, Bianca is a part of what the hell is going on.
Sure.
I
just think there's plenty of time to carry that, and it could still happen.
Not
after.
If you also have me care about who the hell she's going to face for the champion. Like that's my thing. I can't sit here and give my full attention to or care about her involvement in both. I can't do it. And if I have to pick, I want to pick the storyline, this brilliant fucking storyline that she also was a huge part of, seeing her freak out at Naomi getting her ass beat and she could do nothing about it.
Yeah.
I want to see more of that. I want to see that play out. And now now you got it. Now,
I don't know. I think there's plenty of time. I think you're making an assumption that they won't find an interesting way to keep this going or wrap it up or allow enough shine to. I just think I think wrestling in 2025 absolutely assumes better of its fans. I think both things can happen at the same time. And I think the WWE creative doesn't need to be that simple anymore. I think both things can happen because I think ultimately there is like a heel angle. What if Bianca is like, I don't really care. I don't care. I'm going to win this belt. And then it's like, there's fun opportunities here that could still propel this story and that story at the same time. I'm just saying, just be
to
patient.
me, there's only one way that this still works, and that's if Jade screws Bianca at Mania.
Yeah. If
Turns
Bianca,
out something that
yeah,
she's mad at both of them, and we wait 5 weeks for that shoe to fall. Otherwise, I'll be pissed.
Who knows? Maybe it's a weird thing where Bianca, I'm fantasy booking now, but it's like maybe Bianca's in Jade's corner. Like, Naomi, I can't believe it. And then maybe something happens where she's like, actually, Naomi and I have known each other way longer, like just because we were a tag team. And then she like does something like the week or two before WrestleMania and it inspires a switch. I don't know. I don't know. I just like, I really don't think this story, I understand that Bianca's been a huge piece of it, but I don't think the resolution needs her as much as it would need to preclude her from pursuing the belt against Rhea, I guess. I think both things can happen. And I'm looking forward to both. I don't know. I'm a huge Rhea Ripley fan, and I think I've said this before. I'm so in on Bianca. She is so good. Her talents have been squandered in the tag team storyline, even if it's interesting. She's so much better than everybody in the division. Like, I don't know. I have not, since I've come back to wrestling, which would have been like a year and a half, Bianca and Rhea have never gone one-on-one. I want to see that so bad, even at the behest of really interesting storylines, because nobody can hold a candle to Rhea Ripley right now. And it's cool Charlotte Flair came back. Maybe that could be an interesting one. I know they've wrestled before, but they're both older and more experienced. Like, I'm just watching Bianca be so much better than every other like tag team competitor. And I'm just going, what are we doing here? Like, the top end of the women's division is so poor. Like, why are we robbing the entire WWE universe of the only person who probably could go toe to toe with Rhea in terms of like presence, aura, domination? Like, Bianca is, I know I always say it, but it's like, in the way that we marvel over Rhea, like, Bianca is in the exact same position. She truly is the EST, So I just like, I'm looking at it from that angle. This, like,
I don't know. That's fine. Doesn't hit the same for me.
That's fine. And that's totally fine. And I guess I'm just saying, like, you could be right. We could go post WrestleMania, even if she holds the belt. I might be like, man, they really kind of just like pissed away like a 8-month storyline. I just don't think they will. I'm in a spot where I'm willing to give them credit. I think they'll figure that. I think they have something figured out,
I think they're going to do something. I just think it's going to fall flat. I think it's going to be weak. It's not going to be enough.
It'll be interesting because Paul Levesque, and I don't call him Triple H because when he's doing press conferences, he's Paul Levesque. He was talking about like creative and storyline. He straight up was like, yeah, it's like interesting to know like what kind of stories we can tell. We knew Jade would be back, but we didn't know when. And so it's like, it's like there is this like hilarious thing with the WWE where like things get cool off and then they reheat it really quickly and then they cool it off again. So I don't know. It's like, this was the perfect moment to have her come back. Like, I mean, it's ideal timing. So you got to assume there's plenty of time to play with it, but I don't know. It's cool. I loved it.
Look, it was still great. The whole pay-per-view was great.
How about that whip, dude? That sounded, she hit her so hard.
Oh, did you see the marks?
Yeah.
So there were two big moments. There was the hair whip, and then there was the Travis Scott slap.
Yeah.
So first, the hair whip sounded like, which has always been a thing to me, like why that isn't utilized more. Like, she has this all the time, but it took the Elimination Chamber for it to be a thing. But so that was awesome, and seeing the damage. And then, did you see the Travis Scott slap to Cody Rhodes?
Of course I did.
Okay. Yeah, so they showed like close up of it, like he slapped the crap out of him.
Yeah.
Like,
well, The Rock in the post game was like, I told Travis, like, it's like, if you're gonna get your hand all bloody, you better make it count. And he was like, oh, he slapped the shit out of him, for real.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
That whole part, we didn't really touch on that. Having Travis Scott involved, super weird. I don't really get it.
Super weird. Don't like it at all.
I hope Travis Scott
gets his ass beat.
No, does John Cena's heel music. That'd be a fun little like play in or whatever. But it was weird. It felt a little shoehorned. He was like burning sage, which I think like sucks. Like, the whole thing was just kind of it was just kind of weird.
He seemed out of place and it was stupid, and I didn't like it.
It's just kind of like this. It's just still this idea, like the idea of The Rock being the final boss and on the board is really interesting. But the way they try to demonstrate his power or prestige or like access is just
Authority,
weird
yeah.
to me. Yeah, it's not even authority because his wrestling is the authority. Like his wrestling, you know what I mean? They're like trying to show all the auxiliary benefits of The Rock, and it's like he cut a promo in front of a private jet, and like the engines made it like audio, like the audio fidelity was terrible. It like they ended SmackDown on a segment where it sounded like a dog whistle was going off, and then he's like, I got this belt, and it's got, you know, the like the death or whatever important date. I think it was like it's just weird. It's just like it's just weird, and I don't know. It sucks because I love The Rock. Straight up, I'll just be honest. He's my favorite wrestler of all time. I loved him as a kid. There he is right there. And right there. Tipped over on accident. I love him. But this weird bit isn't working. And I'm excited now that it has a little more heft to it, I suppose. Because they've been hinting he's been like doing weird promos, hinting at it. And we didn't really talk about this, but like on the Netflix on Raw Netflix debut, he came out and like broke kayfabe and just like was talking about how much he like loved the world and the company and the universe. He was Dwayne Johnson talking about the product as opposed to The Rock living in it. So it's just been weird and waffly. Yeah. And so I am excited to see like what this all looks like, but I don't know. Basically everything happened, like you said, that I wanted to have happen. And now because it's fallen this way, it's not like I can predict WrestleMania. It just means like, oh shit, things can go. It's like you hit all the levers to have WrestleMania go however you want. And it'll all be earned.
Which is what they want.
Yeah.
Right? You want to have it that way. Yep. And now we'll see what the hell they do with it.
Yep.
But Elimination Chamber was great.
Yeah. And one last thing about it real quick. The Bucks went 2-1 this week. It was awesome.
Yeah. And so the Bucks, let's go Bucks, 2-1. Also, so there's your Bucks talk. Also, I forgot to say, at the Bowling with the Chumps, my charity event, I had two people that I don't talk to ever that came up to me and they said, I absolutely love what you guys are doing and don't tell me not a fan.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was like, oh, awesome. So
thank you two. Nobody in Portland has come up to me yet, sadly, but I will report back when that happens.
Yeah, well, they better. Also, I did get an email a while back, and I'll find this. I promise you on the next episode, I'll find it. We are like in the top 800 podcasts talking sports in New Zealand. So
let's go.
Just saying, New Zealand, what's up? We appreciate you.
We really do appreciate it. Thank you so much.
What's up, New Zealand?
What's up, New Zealand?
So anyway, there's that. But no, this was fun. And if anyone stuck with us for an hour talking about Elimination Chamber, great, because we're just getting started. This has been great. Johnny, appreciate you. Can't wait to see what happens on Raw tomorrow night. And we will follow up next week, and we'll talk about the Bucks and stuff as well.
Yep. So, trade for DK. Bye.
Yeah. That's whatever. That hasn't happened yet, and we're not going to talk about it until it does. Tune in next time, everyone, because we're not done yet.